Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the DoDeals show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
All right, we are live on Facebook. Well, hello, my Facebook friends. Welcome to another interview. Today, I have my good friend Pablo Luna on the line with us. Today, and Pablo has started real estate investing about 3 years ago, and he does a lot of co-wholesaling. But what we're gonna focus on today is around how he buys houses at the auction. So, Pablo, can you share with everyone what is your best tip on how to buy houses from auction?
So there's actually a few things. Definitely there's always going to be a big list when you go to the auction. At least the Harris County auction, so we always wait till the weekend before to actually pull that list, because up until the day of the auction, they can be pulled from the actual list. So we wait till the last minute to do all our research pretty much. And then my main thing to tell everybody is that you have to be very, very disciplined with your formula. You have to be okay with backing out and, losing to someone else, because, if you get too caught up on it and wanting to win, you can easily go over the threshold by, like $5,000 to $10,000. And the next thing you know, all your profits are gone, or, you can end up losing money. So definitely be very disciplined, and just stick to the formula that works.
Perfect. That's a great tip for sure, and that's applicable to just about any auctions that we do, right? Even on eBay, it's stick with your numbers. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Pablo. Everyone. So we're gonna move forward to the rest of our interview here. Make sure you keep an eye out for the entire interview when we post that on Facebook for you to watch. And so with that, like this video, leave a message, leave a comment, let Pablo knows that he's doing a great job, great tip. So, all right, Facebook, see ya. Okay, so now we're going to go into our real interview. No, not real, but, the rest of our interview here, Pablo.
Yeah. So that was like a little teaser.
Yeah, that's a little teaser, yeah. So I've known you for a while now, but obviously, a lot of people listening here probably don't know you. And so why don't we start with that? If you can share with everybody a little bit about yourself, your background. How did you get started in real estate investing?
It's actually I love the story of how I got into real estate. I was bartending, running bars and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, I ended up losing my job, and then I had to move back home, to Houston where my family was at, and luckily, my cousin that I owe a lot of my success to, decided to venture out and start up his own real estate business, and he asked me to join, and I had nothing else, so I was like, sure, why not? And, it just took off from there. Just got out into the community, got to meet you, AC and everybody. And just one deal turned into 2 deals, into 3 deals. And it just a little snowball effect. And then just, it just blew up. And, just like they say, it was all downhill from there.
Right. No, that's really awesome. And I know you have a really strong drive. I see, every time I see you, you're always out there hustling, making deals happen, right? So, where did you get that trait, or do you, is there any kind of practice that you do? Because a lot of people get started and they're not a hustler like that, right? They kind of take things casually. They kind of try what they can, but for you, I see you doing your thing, and you don't give up. And so where would you say those traits came from, and how do someone gain such a trait?
pretty much, I mean, at a young age, I never came from a family with, with tons of money or anything like that. We got by, but I always knew I wanted something more. And I was actually just like, like you said, those people that, that they try here and there. And that really was me for a really long time. I always thought, when is it going to be my turn? I was waiting for something to happen to me. And then finally, when I went to Houston, I had a long-time girlfriend. I knew I needed to figure something out so that we can move to the next level and get married. And I had that drive. I was like, you know what? I need to make this work. And that was it. That's what finally clicked in my head. It was like, I need to, not I want to. I'm waiting for something to happen to me. I need to make this work. So I just put everything I had into it. And I'm not going to lie, I'll get distracted too sometimes, but it's about refocusing yourself, realigning yourself with your goals, and say, you know what, this month we didn't hit what we wanted. Why? Maybe, I took an extra 2 days off, that I shouldn't have, or, I wasn't as focused. And then, I try to learn from that, and then the next month implement that into, what I'm going to do. And so that's really, it's just refocusing yourself, knowing what your goals are, and just going out there and getting them, and stop saying, when is it going to happen to me? Go out and get it.
Right. That's awesome. And I know that, you got going pretty quickly with wholesaling. So share with us like how you went about transitioning over to buying at the auction, which is a strategy that, a lot of people don't do, right? There's only a few, elites that do buying at the auction. So how was that transition for you?
So, I was with my cousin and his wholesale company, a real estate investment company. And for a long time, and, I finally wanted to branch off onto my own. And I had this opportunity with this investor that, liked the way I worked. And, since going on my own, I wanted to keep my costs down. So I knew, marketing costs can get very, very expensive and stuff like that. So he was like, I buy from the auction, come out there, help me evaluate these properties. And I was like, awesome. I can get inventory without having to have my own liability, without having to put my own money into it, without having to do any marketing, so this is going to be all profit to me. And I decided to join forces with him and go out and do that. And, we just bought one, did great, bought a few more, did awesome, and it just turned into getting volume without having to spend, on my end, without having to spend money on marketing and stuff like that. Until I could support myself and get that good base underneath me, and then being able to be a little bit more, try different strategies, spend a little bit more money to get more properties. But just like you said, I had this total impression of the auction that it's really hard to get good deals, very competitive, you can't make money. But we just tried it, and it's been very lucrative and very, very successful for us. So, just you can't take what everybody says. Sometimes you do have to try it yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it's and even as a real estate coach, I mean, I even sometimes tell people it's like, oh, I've never done auctions, and I don't recommend that you start there, right? Because it's super competitive.
Yeah. No, I would. That is true. I wouldn't recommend for a newbie to go out and start doing auction properties, especially the one in Harris County where you really can't even tour the properties beforehand. Sometimes like on Hubzu and stuff like that, you can go out there, you can find them on MLS, and then take a look at the property before you put a bid in. Harris County, it's sight unseen. You'll get the list, you can drive by, but you can't get inside. So, you can get a lot of surprises, and we've had those where we thought it was going to be awesome deals because we bought them at a good price, and then we find out that, it needs a ton of work, and it really cuts into our profits. But, it's just a risk that you have to take. So I definitely don't suggest that to somebody who has a small amount of capital and is new, because you don't want to get these crazy, properties under as a first,
Right. So let's let's walk through the process. So and we'll be specific to here in Harris County, but I mean this is applicable to Texas as well, where it's our auction happens on the first Tuesday of each month, right? So only one time a month and you have all these properties. So how do you go about, where to get the list? How do you find out which one is a potential deal, which one's not? Like, what are some of the things that you need to do prior to being there at the auction, get ready to buy?
So the list for each month comes out early, after the auction, the first Tuesday. The next list will come out for the next month pretty soon after that. And we use foreclosehouston.com. You have to pay for the list there. But I definitely recommend not pulling the list in the very beginning of the month, because everybody that's going through foreclosure can renegotiate with the lender and, try to get an extra month, 2 months, or try to pay off the loan within that time. So the list in the very beginning of the month has a ton of properties. And by the actual time you actually go to the auction, it's, a lot smaller. So we always pull the list, the Friday beforehand, before that Tuesday. We take
that close. So that's only give you, if you pull on Friday, it only give you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to work on this thing.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
So we have to go pretty fast. And so we start doing the research on the weekend. What we do first is we get the whole list of properties. We'll go through hcad.org, which, Harris County Appraisal District, and we'll type in each address to figure out the value, the appraisal value. And we start there, and we usually stick to properties between about $50,000 and $175,000. That's our sweet spot, so we can buy enough properties. It's easier to sell those properties than bigger properties like $300,000 houses and stuff like that. So we stick between those numbers, and then we go through. We take out all. We don't like any 2-bedroom houses. So we only stick to 3 2s, 3 4, or 4 3, 4 2s and stuff like that. And then that shortens our list. Then we go one by one and actually do the comps on every single one of the properties. We'll go on Google Maps or Google View and check out, to see the house, what it looks like, what the street looks like, and then we run the comps to see, what the value is when we get the house. And then we, type in it, we put it into our Excel format, and it pops out, our number with our formula that we use to tell us how much we can actually bid on it. And then as actually you go through the year, so you have to pay more, you have to pay the taxes on it. So, the beginning of the year is actually the best because you pay less taxes. Say you bought it in May and sold it in June, you would assume that you don't have to pay that 1 month of taxes, but that's not how it works for you with the foreclosure properties. Is you have to pay the taxes for the whole entire year up until the date you sell it. So if you buy a property in December, you get a whole year's worth of taxes that you have to pay. So you do have to calculate that also into your final costs, and subtract it, like 3.5% of what you would have actually paid, so you can cover that cost. That's pretty much the average of what the tax is going to be, or that's a good little threshold to put in.
Hold on real quick about the taxes. So does that mean that if they owed back taxes that you have to cover those too?
Yeah, so that's that you would. So there's a lot of, we do a quick lien search while we're at the auction. So like we start bidding on it. Actually depends. If it's a small list, we'll do a lien search before the auction so we know which ones not to mess with. But, as soon as we bid on it and we win that bid, I'm on my phone texting, one of my escrow officers or something to like, hey, can you do a quick title search on this property? Let me know if there's any liens. And that's actually came in really handy to us because I think we found one that had like $1 million. No, it wasn't a tax lien, or maybe it was
like a federal
tax. Okay. Yeah, it was federal IRS lien or something like that, which was crazy. So we were like, okay, yeah, we definitely don't want to touch that one because that can just demolish you, one day. So
you do that search after you won the property or before?
So if it's a small list, we'll do it beforehand.
Okay.
But if it's a big list, we can't bother our escrow officers to do, a list of 300. So we'll go there and we'll have, me and my partner will split up and have like 2 different numbers. So if I find a list, or if I find win a property that has a lien on it, I'll be like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't. I just got new information. I don't want to buy this property anymore. And if it's a small auction, they'll let you keep on bidding. But if it's a big auction and you just wasted their time, they'll say you're barred from bidding for the rest of the day. So then my partner's there. At least he has his number to keep bidding on properties.
Gotcha. That's smart.
But yeah, I mean, so with HOA liens, those usually get completely wiped out once you buy it. So you don't have to worry about those. The only thing you really have to worry about are any, pretty much just the taxes, maybe some other liens, from the past that you may have to pay a few thousand here and there. But it's a risk you do have to take because you don't always know until you actually do a full title search and all that type of stuff. So
gotcha. Okay, all right, and so now, yeah, you put the list, you do your research, you're there at the auction, you're doing the title search. What happens next?
So you go there. Well, before you get there, you have to go to the bank because everything is cash as soon as, or you have to pay for the property as soon as you win it, like within 10, 15 minutes. So we go to the bank, we get a whole bunch of different cashier's checks in different denominations. Usually 50,000 is usually the highest we'll go, but it's usually within like 25, 10, a whole bunch of ones, fives. And then say, the property is worth $87,000, we'll piece together, the different cashier's check to get us close to the $87,000 that we need. And then, you win it, you got to pay them right away. They're going to be on you to pay it right away because they have a time limit where they have to sell it by also. And if they don't sell it within that time limit, or they don't, hold the auction within that time limit, they'll actually get fined by the bank. So, if you waste their time, they'll bar you from bidding anymore for that day.
Right. So, shoot, I lost my thought. Dang it. But okay, so when you're getting the cashier's check, so you know specifically which trustee that you're going to be bidding on, so that way the cashier's check is made out to that trustee. Is that correct?
No, so you make them out to yourself, and then you just endorse them over to the trustee.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's easy. Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that. If you make it out to cash or even to that trustee, and because you're essentially walking around with some people with $1 million in their backpack. And if it's made out to cash or something like that, and you get robbed, goodbye money.
Right.
So you make it out to yourself so that you have to sign it and endorse it over to somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay, that sounds good. All right. So then, what's next after that?
Yeah. So this last auction was actually the craziest. So I kind of want to talk about that one. They had over 300 properties, which I have never seen before like that. They had 4 different auctioneers all going at the same time. So it was just me and my partner there, and we literally had to stand in between 2 different auctioneers at the same time and watch them both going. And there was even a time that I was bidding on 2 properties from 2 different auctioneers at the same time. So it did get a little crazy, but you just have to you start getting into like bidding wars. My role is I try to stay very behind so that no one knows that I'm bidding. So the PK can't, I'm going to beat this guy, this guy. So I try to stay in the back, and I just do a little quick, nod of my head or, or pull my finger that I want to keep bidding more. And they'll increase by, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 at a time. But then, I have my list there, so I always know exactly how much I can bid. If I hit that number, if I go over that number, I'm done. I'm very disciplined in that part, and that actually did take me a little bit time to get hold of that because I wanted to win. I always wanted to win. I have that that very competitive mentality.
Right.
But it hurt us in the very in the early stages, and then you learn that it's better to lose to someone than to lose money.
Yeah.
so we get very, 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 very strict on that. And every now and then, we'll see our numbers, but we know the house may be worth a little bit more, or that it doesn't need that much, and we can go over a little bit, but you really have to be very, very strict and
right.
disciplined with your formula.
Right. Now, so you were saying like you don't want people to see that you're bidding. So the trustee, like you making, I guess, eye contact with him, so he knows you're bidding.
Yeah.
But you're not too visible for everyone else to see. It's not like a sign you raise up and says,
Yeah. There's some people who do it like that, but I mean, you're within a mass of a crowd, and I'm short, so I can kind of blend in and hide a little bit. So I'm just quickly just saying, hey, yeah, me, yeah, keep going, but I don't want to be the showboating, because then people just are going to start to try to bid you up, because they know they're not going to buy it, but they know that you want it. If you're eager, they know you're going to pay more, and they rather get you to pay more, so you run out of money,
right?
And you can't buy the good property later on.
Right.
So
okay,
try to keep it very, very, very low key.
Have you gotten to meet a lot of the guys down there that you see down there every single month? They're buying a bunch of properties. Have you gotten to meet them and be friends with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you start to learn, who's a real player out there. I mean, and there's a lot of big players out there. But you also learn, like who's always there and just watching and never buys and stuff like that. Who's new? I mean, it's this year. I've seen it grow a lot, and it's always it's a lot of newbie investors out there, that are trying to buy it or just trying to see how it works. But I mean, there's 1 month, I think it was November, that this hedge fund guy came in and bought everything pretty much, and we couldn't get anything.
Wow.
And he was just so ready just to buy because he had so much money. The bid would be like $100,000. He'd be like 130.
What?
Like jump like that, like over any threshold. Like, I mean, you're like, how is he gonna make money there? But he just they needed inventory probably, and they didn't want to waste time with going back and forth with somebody, and they just brought it way up. That no one else is gonna be able to beat them, and you're like, okay, what are you gonna do? So
right, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was crazy because I mean, it was that month. Like we were really excited because all those properties that month were all like 2000 builds or newer. So we were like, oh, awesome, we're gonna get some really good properties.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna probably not need that much work. We can just buy them and list them on MLS right away.
Right.
Guess this guy thought the exact same thing and just came in and bought everything.
Right. All right, so now let's transition to what you do with these properties. So now, you won the bid, it's yours, you pay for it. What's next?
So our main goal is to get them and sell them as quickly as possible. So I'll get him, go in, and hopefully they're vacant. So, if they're not vacant, we have to wait a few weeks to actually get the deed and knock on the door and tell them, hey, are you guys going to stay? Do you guys want to move out? Do you want to rent? And figure that there. But, the best is when they're vacant, because then the next day we'll send a locksmith out there, unlock the doors, go in, take pictures. If it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, we'll clean it out. And then I'll put an email blast, with all the details, the sales price, some pictures, stuff like that. And I'll shoot it out to my investors list, for a markup between, $5,000 and $15,000. And that's our number one goal. That's what we want to do. We want to turn and burn as quickly as possible so that by the next auction, we have all that money again and we can go out and buy some more. But, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, it's too high price for an investor. So we have different options, are we going to go in and rehab it? That's usually always our last strategy. We'll either list it, below retail for an owner occupant to come in,
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some success with that. But our main one that we like a lot now is doing owner finance. Why do we like that? Is that especially in Houston, there's a lot of owner finance buyers. A lot of them are construction workers and stuff like that are trade workers that know how to do the work to the house. So a lot of times we don't have to do any work to the property, because they're going to come in and they're going to do it exactly the way they want, and they're going to save the money that way. So we ask for a down payment, a good down payment. We take into consideration, how much work needs to be done to the property and how much actual down payment we want. We try to make the combined those to be about 20%. So we take, the money down, we write the note, and then, after we get it seasoned for about a month, which means they make one payment, and then we'll take that note and we'll sell it at a discount to another investor so that we can cash out and then move on to buy another property. And by doing that, when you sell owner finance property, you can actually sell it above market value. because you're taking the liability. They're paying a premium because they can't get traditional financing. So they're willing to do that, and you charge a high interest rate, 9-10%. So it's very attractive when you sell that note. So you take money down up front, and then you make money on the back end, and it makes it a very lucrative strategy.
Right. And then when you marketing to find the owner financing buyer, do you also list them on the MLS, or do you put out signs, or how do you find them?
We do both. I like MLS the most. We do put out signs as well. With the sign, though, you're going to get a lot of unqualified buyers.
Mm-hmm.
People who just drive by and they call up like, "Hey, how much is the house?"
Right.
And then you tell them, you need $20,000 down, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I can't do that." But if you're a buyer on MLS, you've already gone to a realtor, and that realtor has pretty much done the vetting. Are you a qualified buyer or not?
Right.
How much down do you have? So that saves me a lot of time.
Right.
So we'll put it on there. We'll pay the 3%, to a realtor to bring me a real qualified buyer.
Right. And then what about the commission? Do you pay that realtor, like, how much commission for an owner financing deal?
The standard 3%. If it's
you take that out of the down payment and pay the realtor that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good. And then in selling the notes, do you blast it out to your list like you normally do for when you wholesale houses, or do you have like a list of note buyers that that, hey, they like these kind of deals, and then you sell it to them?
Yeah, so the very beginning, we did blast them out to our list.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing that, everybody who replied back that was interested, I did take down their email and move them into a different list. And then also when you sell properties owner finance, just like in wholesaling, where you'll send a postcard out to a seller, different note buyer companies will send us postcards or letters saying, "Hey, we're note buyers.
Oh, okay.
You want to buy it?" So then I take their information and put it on the list. And then we've accumulated a pretty good list now. I mean, really, once you get 2, 3, 4 really good note buyers, you're set. So
okay.
I mean, because they love, seeing the 9%, 10%, and that they're buying it at a discount, so their yield actually gets up to like 11-12%. And who doesn't want to make 12% on their money for the next 30 years, 20 years?
Right.
It works for them and it works for us. So.
That's awesome. And then a lot of the note buyers that you're selling to, are they the buyers that they're holding themselves, or some of them are also brokers and they're like flipping that note to someone else again?
No, I mean, so that was the whole entire reason for me to put together that list, is so I can bypass that broker part, because they're going to pay me less.
Right.
And they're going to make a fee. So, I wanted to make all that money. I wanted to make sure we got the best return as possible. So we sell it to actual investors that are going to hold on to it. These people usually have like a big fund of cash of different investors that pool together, so that they can buy tons of these,
Right.
So, but yeah.
That's awesome. So, so most of these that you buy, what would you say is your average, buy price in terms of like compared to the value, and then your average sales price compared to the value? Let's look at a wholesale kind of transaction. So what does that look like?
So let's say like this December, we bought 4 properties, and I would say the average price of them was between $60,000 and $95,000.
Okay. And what is that in percentage against the ARV?
About 60 to 65%.
Okay. Now is that minus repairs or including repairs?
That's in before the repairs. So like say it was worth $100,000, we bought it at 65.
Okay. And then whatever repairs that might be. Okay.
Exactly. We try to stay to properties, that aren't too old, so we know they're not going to have that many repairs.
Right.
So we know that landlord buyers pretty much buy around 80-85%. let's say that there was a 5-10% variance of repairs. So that's buying at 65,000 or 60,000. The 10% repairs, it's really at 70%, and now we can mark it up 10-15%, and that's our profit by selling it to a landlord buyer.
Gotcha.
And if that doesn't work, now we know that we have a $100,000 property that, because we can sell it owner finance, owner finance properties sell 10-20% above market value. So now we took a $100,000 property, made it worth $120,000, and we bought it for $65,000. So there's a good margin in between there. Sometimes it does need repairs, so that's going to cut into your profits. But when we sell the note, we're looking to sell the note at a minimum or maximum 85%. We really try to stay at 90%.
I see. Okay. 90% of the note value. Okay, that's pretty good. And so on owner financing deals, do you actually fix it up first before you sell them owner financing, or you try to sell them as is if you can?
Our number one goal is always to do it as is. Try to keep as least amount of money into it, least amount of liability into it. And a lot of times, like it's baffling to me that how on a property like this that needs work will still get $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 down from the buyer, and they still have to go in and do all the work.
Right. That's awesome. Great.
Yeah, I mean, we just tried it. Like I always try to price it at the very max that I can get, just in case, just hoping that it works. And a lot of times it works, and if not, then you have to adjust your sales price and bring it down, and then hopefully by then it'll sell. Right.
Dude, this has been an incredible interview. I've learned a lot. So I haven't learned this much in a long time. As many people as I have interviewed, and as many different strategies as I've learned a lot on this interview. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
All that information. A really great job. And I know in the introduction I forgot to mention, but Pablo and his partner, they buy on average about 4 deals a month at the auction. That's a substantial number, considering the auction only happens once, like at one day of the month and happening at the same time. And so, what do you do during the rest of the month?
So besides trying to sell those properties, we do our marketing with postcards and yellow letters and stuff like that because those are always going to be, those are your real bread and butter deals that, very low cost to get into it, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month on marketing to get, a wholesale deal that's going to make you between $5,000, $10,000, maybe more,
Right.
Those are always your best ones. Those are the home runs. And then I also, because, I get to do a lot of volume, a lot of people come to me, and because I have a good sized list as well, people come to me and ask, hey, can you help me sell this property? And I'm like, absolutely, for a fee. Usually I do a percentage of the assignment fee, and I'll send it out to my buyers list and, acquire them a buyer, work them all the way to closing until, they get their check paid to them. So all that together is what keeps me busy for the rest of the month.
Right.
And then also a really cool thing about this is that I'm all doing this all virtually. We do investing in Houston, but I actually live in Tampa, Florida. So as long as I have an internet connection and a phone, I can work from pretty much anywhere around the world.
Right. That's awesome, dude. So we're gonna wrap up this interview now. By now, the listeners are probably in love with you. And they probably are interested in contacting you, keep in touch and stuff. Where do you want to send them?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody can contact me via email at pablo@flippinghouston.net. I love answering questions. I love doing interviews like this with you. I mean, Tim, you're one of the greatest, so I feel very honored that you brought me on like this. But yeah, I love helping. You helped me out when I first started, information. I love to give it out. I love to see people succeed. So, definitely reach out to me. Again, it's pablo@flippinghouston.net. Any way I can help you guys, just let me know.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Pablo, for that generosity, buddy. All right. One last tip, trick, insight, wisdom that you want to leave with everybody before we end this interview.
You and I talked about it earlier. It's really, I was in the mindset, when am I going to start succeeding? I see people around me, like, when are they, when is it going to be my turn? And when you realize that, you need to stop waiting and actually going out there and getting it. I promise you, if you put work into something, it's going to work. You can't sit on the sidelines hoping and wishing. You have to make your own things, People say good things come to people who wait. No, good things come to people who go out and get them. So go out and chase your dreams, acquire your dreams, and everything's going to work out for you.
Right. I love that. And it just, get me thinking. It's like what works is what you put work into, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Pablo. It's been an amazing interview. I love it. I learned a ton from it. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you leave a review, rate this interview, and reach out to Pablo, do some deals with him. With that, see you on the next interview.
Thanks, Tim.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.